four. No sleep, need more. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up.
One of the biggest things that tons of players aren't doing is warming up, and to be honest I can see why. It's really easy to miss out warming up in creative rather than jumping straight into pubs or arena, but guys, you have got to start doing warm-ups if you're not already. Warming up not only gives you the ability to get to your norm, but is also great practice to perfect skills you already have, meaning you are improving besides just warming up. Some of the best ways to warm up are just by playing 1v1 with friends or playing creative warm-up maps. Now that all the utility items have been removed other than the traps, it's very important to know the best and most effective way of using them. The number one mistake is placing the traps on the side of the wall when the opponent is boxed in. Sure, it can do some damage to the opponent, but it's very easy to counter just by walking over to the other side and the trap will never activate. However, by placing the trap on the floor or the roof and flipping the ramp, this causes a barrier between you and them while also exposing them to a trap. Overbuilding is a very common and deadly mistake that many players tend to make when they're playing against other opponents that are decent. This usually happens when you're build fighting and you feel like you need as much high ground as you can possibly have to get a better chance of winning. Well, this usually is not the case. A good rule of thumb is to be about 2 to 3 levels above your opponent, and that's really about it. Anything above that could cause serious problems, such as being shot down and taking fall damage, or being shot whilst falling. You never want to abuse the high ground, and what you should be doing is using it to your advantage as soon as you get it. You want to start pushing your opponent once you've gotten the high ground, and not just building higher and higher, not focusing on what the opponent is doing. An even better thing to do is keep moving at the same level that you're at, to try and find different angles that will put more damage on your opponent. This not only is going to catch them off guard, it's going to give you free hits that they will not expect. This is what the majority of all pro players do when they're in fights against other high skill players. The next biggest tip I can give you when playing Fortnite is to make sure you're looting. I can't tell you how many times I've seen myself and other players in the endgame with terrible loot, simply because they're too impatient to spend an extra minute or two looting the area around them. Spending time looting most of the area around you can make a huge difference in the quality of weapons you have during the endgame. In games like Fortnite, every chest or loot spawn is an opportunity to get good weapons, so make sure you're spending every bit of extra time you get looting chests instead of rotating too early or picking fights you shouldn't. Remember, the goal is survival, and you can get the most amount of points and XP for survival rather than just eliminations. With the introduction of the new map, many players haven't adapted to the new spots and locations yet. What this means is that a lot of players are going to go ahead and land somewhere without perfecting their landing, and especially wasting a lot of time in the air waiting to drop. This is probably because a lot of you will have just adjusted to the old map and knew the best places to land in order to drop low and basically maximise the efficiency of the drop. But now there's a new chapter, a lot of the old places have either moved or just don't exist anymore, and that is why it's so important that you spend some time learning the lowest points on the map, which is where you want to be when your character pulls out their glider. The lower the area where you pull out your glider in, the later your Fortnite character is going to start gliding, meaning that you will be falling faster for a longer period of time. Being in these areas will get you close to the ground, giving you an advantage against opponents who have bad drops. The next step to becoming better at Fortnite in 2020 is to subscribe to this channel, and it will 100% make you a better Fortnite player. One of the common mistakes in this new chapter is players thinking that they can build fight and be able to survive using old tactics from previous seasons. Now that everyone goes for endgame, players have become smarter and sweatier, and it's much more common to find players in boxes going for third party kills or snipes rather than seeing two opponents build fight to the high ground. This is why you guys have got to start adapting to the new meta if you haven't already. Turtling, tunneling and making sure that all your sides are covered is much more valuable than being able to perform a high ground retake. We are in a chapter where being able to 90 faster than your opponent isn't going to get you very far if your aim is not as good as theirs. And that's just because of how the gameplay style of players as a whole has become now. So get into creative, start practicing your box fights, because these skills are what we truly need to win games. At the end of the day, you can practice as much as a pro player does and master many skills, but if you're not improving on your personal weaknesses and making sure that you don't have any weaknesses, you won't get as far as you want to. Every player has strengths and every player has a weakness, but The ones who become the best are the ones who eliminate those weaknesses. A common mistake for players is not watching back their footage and finding their own personal mistakes. A lot of times after a game, a player is going to just load back into another one and forget exactly what they did wrong in the first place. This isn't what you want to be doing if you want to improve. At the very least, you should do a recap in your head of what you could do next game in order to stop it from happening again. The last tip I can give you going to 2020 Fortnite, and is one of the most obvious, is to always know your surroundings. Be constantly looking around you. Even if it is at the off chance that you see someone's head over a hill, it could save you from being sent back to the lobby. If you have the advantage of seeing your opponent first, it gives you longer to prepare for the fight and how to approach the situation. Okay, so let's recap. Warming up. Play some edit maps or 1v1 with your friends before you jump into your main game. Traps. Place them either on the floor or the ceiling and not the walls. Overbuilding. Do not overbuild and only use essential materials needed for the fight. High ground. Don't abuse it or you'll lose it. Looting. Make sure to loot properly. You are not Rambo. Perfecting your landing. Finding the lowest areas of the map and aim for them every single time until you know your drop is perfect. Box fights. Try and engage in more box fights. Turtling and tunneling is the new meta and you need to adapt to it. Improving on personal weaknesses. Find your personal weaknesses by replaying games and watching them back, and then eliminate them by practicing and practicing and practicing. Practice makes perfect. And the last tip is always be aware of your surroundings. Be on constant lookout. Keep your head on a swivel. You never know what might be around the corner. That is going to be the end of the video, guys, and I will say a massive thank you to everyone who watches this video. Please like and subscribe, it really does mean a lot. I've put a lot of time and effort into this first video, and there will be more videos like this coming very soon. It just takes a long time as I am really new. I'm editing all myself and I've got to record the gameplay. I'd also like to link my socials, which are on Twitter, which is flip__9, and on Twitch, which is flip__9.
Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. I've been on the flex.